YouTube? Welcome back to Hockey Stick Talk Nation with me, Dan. And today we are going over the top 10 most underrated players of all times. So this is going to be a fun one. So as always, make sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a comment. I love the comments. Let me know who you think should be on this list or who shouldn't be on this list. I'd really love to hear your guys' takes on everything. Without further ado, let's dive right into the top 10 most underrated players of all times. So at number 10, we have Yannick Perreault. Though he didn't put up huge numbers over his 13-year career, 247 goals and 516 points in 859 games, Yannick Perreault is widely regarded and one of the best face-off men in what might be in the history of the NHL. I loved Yannick Perreault. My Rangers drafted his son Gabe Perreault, which I'm super excited for and can't wait to see. And then he won over 60% of his face-offs throughout his career, and though he was never considered the best on his team, was always regarded as one of the most important. And that to me is a leader. Even though he doesn't have a letter or anything, he's out there 60% of face-offs. Like, that is a stat in all of its own. He would be tied with Crosby if he was still playing during the year Crosby was. So that's a good stat to have. He never won a Stanley Cup nor any major awards in the league, and played in just one All-Star game in 2007 during his time in the league, but cannot be overlooked when it comes to players who meant a ton to their teams. And that's what the players I like. I like the players who are quiet, but put up the numbers, who just go out and play the game. Like, they're not showboating. They just play the game hard the way it's supposed to be played. So Perreault played for Los Angeles Kings, the Leafs, the Canadiens, the Predators, the Coyotes, the Blackhawks during his time as a journeyman in the league. So he's been around. He's played on a lot of great teams. Just one of my favorite, hands down favorite players. And that's number 10. At number 9, we have Brad McKibben. Who is Brad McKibben? Or McCrimmon? And what is he doing on this list, you ask? Well, he only scored 81 goals and 403 points in his not-so-offensive career. But there was one area of his game that stands out as one of the best in history. The stay-at-home defenseman compiled an incredible plus 444 in 1,222 NHL games, including his best season in 1985-86 with the Philadelphia Flyers, where he was a whopping plus 83 in 80 games. He was probably one of the best stay-at-home defensemen back in that year, when he played. Like, so steady, you could rely on him. As you see, you put him out in everything. He's not going to score you a ton, but he's going to fill the stat sheets in other ways that you're not going to notice. So that's a great stay-at-home defenseman there. He won a cup in 1988-89 season with the Calgary Flames and became the captain for one season the very next year. He played with some of the game's best, including Paul Coffey, Ray Bourque, Nick Lindstrom, but he still had a job to do, and he did it well. So, if he got paired with those guys, you know something's right. Of course, he's going to get overlooked being with those names there, but they love playing with them, so there's got to be something good. McCrimmon's plus-minus is currently the 8th highest in NHL history, a statistic the league's been keeping since 1967-68. So there's a little bit about Brad McKibben, or McCrimmon. Good stay-at-home defender. If I was to make a team, boom, drafted. I don't care where he's at. I'm drafting that player because those are the kinds of players you really want to have on your team. So at number 8, we have Thomas Sandstrom, another great player. He's not the most recognizable name to ever play the game. Slight underestimate, but nonetheless, Thomas Sandstrom did have a pretty good career. He played for the Ducks, the Red Wings. We'll find out more here. But the Swede was a tough guy, but he knew how to score too. Along with his 1,193 career penalty minutes, he also managed to chip in 395 goals and 856 points in 983 games. So, as you can see, he was a menace. Those penalty minutes really added up, but he also chipped in with some beautiful goals there as well. He won the Stanley Cup with the 1997 Detroit Red Wings, and although he was bounced around the league for much of his time, he did play important roles almost everywhere he went, including the best season in 1990-91 with the Los Angeles Kings, when he scored 45 goals and 89 points. Sandstrom retired in 1999 as a member of the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. So that's great to see. He played for the Ducks for quite a while. Then he got shipped to Detroit where he won a cup. So good to see him. At number 7, we have Ivan Boldyrev. Ivan Boldyrev, who exactly? Even the most dedicated of fans may never have heard of Boldyrev, who played from 1970 to 85 as a member of 6 different clubs. So he moved around quite a bit in a short period of time. He played 1,052 games, scored 361 goals, 866 points, and is part of one of the most coolest Stanley Cup stories. In 1970, he was called up from the Boston Bruins, was called to the Boston Bruins just in case during their playoff run. But he was never needed and came in game action and watched his team from the press box. But in a series of weird events, he ended up getting his name engraved on the cup anyway. The only defenseman to ever get his name on it without playing a single game for the club that season. He played in 2 regular season games that year. It's the only time he's got his name on the cup. Even though he didn't really deserve it to have it there, you have to admit it's better to say you're on it than you're not. Well done, Ivan. So that's a great story. He didn't even play a game, and he still got his name on the cup. So really great. That is a cool little story. At number 6, we have Sean Burke. So he was known as one of the greatest goaltenders of all time during his playing days between 1987 and 2007. But the fact is, Sean Burke is in the top 20 goaltenders when it comes to all-time wins. His 324 victories are 19th in history, and it took him 820 games to do it. Those wins include 38 shutouts and a career of 2.96 goals against average and a 902 save percentage. That is crazy numbers right there. Burke was drafted 24th overall by the New Jersey Devils in 1985, spent 4 seasons there before spending time with the Hartford Whalers and 7 other teams in his final 7 years in the NHL. He finished with the Los Angeles Kings in 2007. In 1988-89, he was the first rookie goaltender ever selected to play in the NHL All-Star Game. So as you see, Sean Burke is really underrated. He got drafted and is the first ever rookie to play in an NHL All-Star Game in 88-89. So that's a high achievement all of itself. So very underrated goalie. At number 5, we have Thomas Lesaic. Thomas Lesaic played 13 games in the NHL with the Calgary Flames and the Chicago Blackhawks and turned out to be a pretty solid player since he was drafted 2nd overall in 1973 NHL draft and all. Lesaic had 843 points, 292 goals, 551 assists, and 919 career games. So, I didn't even know about this player. If you guys did, leave me in the comments some of your memories if you've had but he seems to be a pretty good player. Like, the numbers do not lie. So, at number 4, we have Robert Goring. So, Robert Goring was a large part of the legendary New York Islanders team in the 1980s that won 4 straight Stanley Cups. Needless to say, he's got himself some hardware to remember in his playing days. Goring scored 20 or more goals in 10 straight years as a member of the Los Angeles Kings and Islanders, including 4 straight 30-goal campaigns. He retired in 1985 after playing 1 season with the Boston Bruins. He had 888 points, 375 goals, 513 assists, and in 1,107 career games with 3 organizations. He only played for 3 organizations. So that is crazy. I thought he would have played for more, but he only played 3, and that's great. And he had a lot of wins with the Islanders. He had a great Islanders teams back then. Then we got, at number 3, we got Esa Tikkanen. So Esa Tikkanen changed teams a ridiculous 9 times in his NHL career. But he's most known for his role with the powerhouse Edmonton Oilers of the 1980s. He played 8 seasons in Edmonton and was part of 4 Cup-winning Oilers teams in 1985, 87, 88, and 1990. And the one with the New York Rangers in 93. 5 Stanley Cups is impressive enough, but Tikkanen is often criticized and thought less of for riding the coattails of Wayne Gretzky and Jari Kurri, his line mates, for much of his time there, but he provided he was more than just a defensive specialist. In the NHL playoff history, Tikkanen sits 14th in goals with 72, 186 games, and had 60 assists for 132 points. Not bad for a defense-first grind-like player. So that is really good numbers. He was a defensive specialist player. There's not very many of those anymore. He is one of those guys you put on your top penalty kill line and go out and shut down that team's best player. You put him on like your Gretzky's or someone, and he would shut them down. At number 2, we have Richard McLeish. How can we not praise a man who has a mullet and a mustache combination like that? It truly was great. Shout out to Maiden and his mustache of the week. Here's an idea. Rick McLeish was prominently known for his time with the Philadelphia Flyers. The team drafted him 4th overall in 1970 as he made a name for himself early in his career as a goal scorer. In 1972-73 season, he hit 50-goal mark while adding 50 assists to stamp his spot in the league and prove he could hang with the big boys when it came to bulging the twine. McLeish scored 30 or more goals 7 of his 9 full seasons in Philly, and finished his relatively short career 846 games with 349 goals and 759 points. He won back-to-back Stanley Cups in 1974-75, and his claim to fame is scoring the game-winning goal in the 1974 finals against the Boston Bruins. And now, at number 1, we have Mike Lute. Some of you might not know Mike, some of you may. Great goalie. He's an analyst for Sportsnet. So, I love watching him. He knows the game. So, a quick think of runner-up to Wayne Gretzky for the 1980-81 Hart Trophy. If you answer Mike Lute, you're right. And if you don't know who Mike Lute is, you're probably not alone. Lute played 664 games in the NHL between 1979 and 1992 with the St. Louis Blues, Hartford Whalers, and Washington Capitals, but managed to accomplish a lot. In the same 1980-81 season, he was awarded the Lester B. Pearson Award. Though he never turned into a big-name goalie, he won 30 games just once in his career. In 1986-87, Lute sits 27th overall, or 27th all-time in wins with 294. He can at least say he was second best to Gretzky that one season, something not many people can say. So that's huge for a goalie to come second in the Hart Trophy behind Wayne Gretzky. So that just tells you a little bit about Lute. Though, like you said, he wasn't a big name. Didn't really play a lot, but he still won 30 games. So that'd be a solid backup position nowadays. If you can go out there and win 30 games. He only played for 3 teams. But yeah, that's your top 10 most underrated players of all times. Let me know what you guys think. Anyone I missed or anyone we should take out and add in, please leave it in the comments. And remember, go check the lives every Friday night. Always great guests over there at Hockey Stick Talk Nation. This is Dan. This is us. This is your top 10 most underrated players. Until the next video, we will see you soon. Have a great night.